Hey there, folks. My name is Addison. Spite is one of the most beautiful feelings man can experience. The simple concept of doing something simply out of a desire to get back at someone is a driving force in our modern world. Whether it's climbing a mountain because someone said you can't, or flossing your teeth so your dentist can't give you that smug grin as she insults your hygiene, it's the case of many fights in relationships and is a motivating factor in probably every war. So today, let's take a look at those times throughout history where someone faced an obstacle or was wronged by their fellow man and responded simply with a massive "F*** you."
I just wanna tell you all, go yourself.
Our first story is set in 52 BC. In what is now France, a little-known general named Julius Ceasar was attacking the Gauls in the Battle of Alesia. During the fighting, the Gauls retreated into Alesia, basically a castle of sorts, which was up a large hill with rivers on two sides. Caesar's army was outnumbered, and the Gauls had reinforcements on the way, so taking the castle by force wasn't an option. So what did one of the most famous generals in history do? He saw their castle and said, "I can do better," and built a bigger castle around them. The Roman army built 10 miles of 13-foot walls around the entire castle, trapping it in a highly fortified circle. Reinforcements arrived and were defeated by Caesar, thanks to the massive wall which he had lined with spike pits. Naturally. The Romans had constructed all this and additional towers along the wall in only 3 weeks. The Gauls were quickly defeated soon after, since they were, trapped in their castle by a larger, pointier castle. Next, we have a simple story. Josip Broz Tito was the president of Yugoslavia, and Yugoslavia didn't get along very well with Soviet Russia because of a geopolitical reasons that I neither care to fully understand or investigate. Now, Stalin wasn't a fan of Tito getting in his way, and wanted him out of power, so he did what the rich and powerful do best.
Talk things out with Joseph?
No, he tried to get Tito assassinated. Like a lot. Now, if you put yourself in Tito's shoes, it's understandable you'd get pretty pissed off if a genocidal maniac kept sending assassins to kill you. Tito sent Stalin a letter saying, "Stop sending people to kill me. We've already captured 5 of them, one of them with a bomb and another with a rifle. If you don't stop sending killers, I'll send a very fast-working one to Moscow, and I certainly won't have to send another." Now we travel to France, where Napoleon Bonaparte has just been exiled for being a power-hungry, overcompensating little man and invading Germany. Napoleon was sent to live in exile on the island of Elba, where he was allowed full control of the island and even had his own small army. Less than a year later, Napoleon thought, what if I just became Emperor of France again? He then traveled to France, where he finds all the soldiers he had commanded, only a couple months ago, just kind of hanging out. He begins to reassemble an army during his journey back to Paris, and by the time he returns, his army is powerful enough that France basically goes, "Alright, well, welcome back." If this wasn't already enough of a big dick fuck you power move, it's said when encountering the first French soldiers in his crusade back to power, he said to them, "Any of you who dare oppose the Emperor, fire." And they responded by cheering and joining him, which is pretty fucking metal. As a fun aside, French newspapers reported on Bonaparte leaving Elba and progressing through France, reporting on the status of the event daily. And to sum that up, it went like this. March 9th, Napoleon has left Elba. March 13th, the tyrant has passed through Lyons. March 19th, Bonaparte is advancing with rapid steps, but he will never enter Paris. March 20th, Napoleon will tomorrow be under our ramparts. And March 22nd, His Imperial and Royal Majesty yesterday evening arrived at the Tuileries amidst the joyful acclamations of his devoted and faithful subjects. Goddamn, Napoleon rules. Now, even though today we may think of the UK as a place of level-headed prosperity, the wars fought there back in the day were plentiful. Now in 1304, King Edward I, the King of England, was fighting a war against the Kingdom of Scotland over whether or not Scotland was allowed to be an independent nation. The king's crown jewel in this fight was the Warwolf. Believed to be the largest trebuchet ever made, when it was deconstructed, it filled 30 wagons with its parts, and it reportedly took 5 master carpenters and 49 laborers at least 3 months to complete. During the siege of Stirling Castle, the king decided it was time to unleash this behemoth. The English army began building the Warwolf outside Stirling Castle, and before construction was even completed, the Scottish soldiers offered their surrender. The simple concept of what they were seeing constructed before them was enough for them to concede. Its power is best conveyed through this quote from its Wikipedia page. "And this, when it threw, brought down the whole wall." Anyway, the Scots try to surrender, and Edward declares, "You do not deserve any grace, but must surrender to my will," which is the 14th century way of saying, "I've spent 6 years trying to control Scotland, and 40 days constructing my greatest symphony, literally named the Wolf of War, mind you, there is no way in hell I'm not going to use it." And so he did, even though they had surrendered. And now, a poem on the matter. "I surrender," he said, with a shake of his head, "but your grace, will you pity your foe?" So he looked far away at his new trebuchet, and he said with benevolence, "No." The moral of today's story is that persistence pays off. Whether fighting a war, not being murdered by a megalomaniac, or building a godly siege machine, without persistence, these men wouldn't have gone down in history for their numerous accomplishments, nor would they have received the greater honor of being in some kid's video about historical f***yous. As long as you don't give up, you can accomplish anything. Whether it's something big like world domination, or something smaller like cleaning your room or continental domination. All you need is yourself, and after that, the sky's the limit. Although a trebuchet probably wouldn't hurt.